All right, we got the legendary entertainer, artist herself, DC legend Holly Bass, and we just got done seeing Birth of a Nation. Tell me what you thought about it.
You know, I had really high hopes for this movie, and I loved the trailer, and I was really ready for some rebellion. And I felt like it was the kind of rebellion version of The Help,
Okay.
frankly. Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of historical inaccuracies, like Nat Turner turning himself in voluntarily, which didn't happen in real life.
Okay.
In real life, he hid for 2 months and was then captured.
Right.
And so this idea that your great leader just sacrifices himself, to me, that kind of giving up and complacency doesn't jive with what we know of Nat Turner. I also would have liked more emphasis on the actual rebellion and the strategy behind it.
Okay.
The movie just made it seem like they had one meeting in the woods and like, yeah, we're going to kill some white folks. I'm just really disappointed. I have to be honest. I had high hopes for this movie. I feel like it's a throwback to just some old Hollywood
So
magical Negro.
would you recommend that other people go see it?
Only if they want to have discussions about how Hollywood, even with black authorship, how Hollywood manipulates black history to serve white interests.
Great point. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you, sister.
You're very welcome.
All right. All right. So I got the man that helped organize all of this, came up with the idea that we should rent out this theater down here at the landmark Atlantic Plumbing Theater to go see Birth of a Nation, my one and only brother Brew. We just saw Birth of a Nation, and what was your feelings on it? What was the impact to you, and do you think other people should go see it?
I definitely think you should go see it. I think we should actually see all black movies. Like if we make it and it's our movie and our story, I think we should see it. Some of them will be bad, some of them will be cheesy, and I think the more we support, the more we actually get a chance to say, hey, no matter what the vehicle, we come, we give money to our own, and that way we don't have to beg for when the studio says, they don't really show, it's going to be on the corner in bootleg in a couple of days. Like, no, we want to come and be able to see us and enjoy ourselves in a setting where, the fancier theaters now really is what it is. Like, you can come, food at your seat, drinks at your seat. We support things that support us, and that's the important part for me.
As far as the movie goes, what about it moved you?
It was nothing like what I thought it would actually be. We, of course, know the story of Nat Turner, and it was, in my mind, of course, it was going to be a very easy dig up in them. We're going to revolt, and we're going to see this rebellion, and it's going to be something spectacular. It was nothing like that. It was, we were living in a very hard time, dealing with very hard circumstances, but we were living. We were trying our best. We had faith. We proceeded in ways that most people wouldn't be able to. And even in that moment, they would not let us be us. And that's where it came. Like, that's how the rebellion started. It had nothing to do with, oh, well, I'm just fed up, and one day I snapped. It was like, I am trying to live within the constraints of your rules. Pretty much almost like today. I'm trying to live within the constraints that you give me. I am doing all I can to say, hey, let me live. Let me do what I have to do. I just want to be with my people. I want to be with my family. I want to be able to make meager livings.
Right.
Eke out what I can, and they did not want me to do it. They wanted to break up families and assault wives and take from us the very little that they gave us in the first place. And it was a very unjust moment in time. And that was one of the good things about the story. It showed it as that moment in time and let us know, hey, it wasn't just rebellion.
Right.
We figured we had numbers, we would do it. It was, we are trying to live, and there's different views on how Christianity should be applied to us and them.
Right.
Leaving that out for the moment, or leaving that out because there's no real need to get into it at this time. Even in our faith, it was, well, this says it's okay, this says it's bad. And as soon as we got enough of, not only do we have conflicting things, that we can we can rationalize in our minds.
Right.
Even with us rationalizing things that don't actually make sense to us, you're going to keep pushing, keep poking, keep prodding. And it exploded. And it was not based on just a simple incident. It was a real buildup of everyday life for them.
Right, yeah. All right, well, I want to thank you for coming up with the idea that we should go and see this all together, and we definitely need to support black films that are produced out there, and especially when it comes to being like telling our history, regardless of our opinions of the producer or whatever, the story needs to be supported and the story needs to be told, and we need to keep pushing because this is a piece of American history, not just black history, and it's necessary that we all understand that.
Agreed.
What did you say one more time?
So sis, we just got done seeing Birth of a Nation. What was your feelings on the film?
I'm not really sure. I haven't processed all my feelings about it yet.
Right.
And at the end of the movie, the only thing that I thought in my mind was, this is why we mad.
Right, and do you recommend that other people go and see it?
Definitely.
Why?
Because I think it's some things that a lot of people don't know, and they'd probably learn it from the movie because, I don't know, it's there.
But let me ask you this, because you said now you know why we're mad is one of the feelings that you got from it. What do you recommend that people do once they do see it, and take it? Because rightfully so, when you see an injustice like this, especially among your own people, it's supposed to make you angry. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with you. But a lot of people are like, they don't want to go see it because it's going to make them angry. And a lot of times we end up not learning the truth about ourselves or about our history because we know there's going to be painful aspects of that truth. But what do you recommend people do if they go see it with that anger that they have in themselves?
I've been thinking about that for a long time, even before this movie, and I haven't figured that out yet. I really don't know.
You got to process this. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you for interviewing. All right. All right, so sis, you just come from seeing the premiere of Birth of a Nation. What were your feelings about the movie, and do you think it was impactful, and do you recommend that other people go and see it?
I actually thought it was a really good movie. I was a little bit hesitant to see it because usually movies like this, they tend to stir up feelings in me and, kind of makes me upset and angry, but I'm glad that I was able to come out and support. And I really do think that young people should see it, especially with everything that's going on today, just to give them a reminder of how hard our people fought to give us the liberties and the freedoms that we had, so that they don't take advantage of it, and just really get them grounded in what our history was and where we had to fight and struggle to be where we are today.
So you recommend that people go and see it?
I do. I highly recommend it, and with everything that's been going on around the movie, I'm sad that it kind of took away from it, but I'm glad I got the opportunity to see it, and I think that people should just go in, support it, and see it, and not let all the negative stuff around it impact, their mindset when they go in to watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is Holly Bass. I just saw The Birth of a Nation. I'm deeply disappointed by this film. I will say the one good thing about this movie is that the black men really hold it down and represent for their women. That is the one positive thing that I can say about this movie. It's up to you, what you think of the movie. Go see it. Have a discussion with your friends.
All right, we got my man Anthony Nolan here. We teamed up to host this movie as a group of brothers and sisters for Birth of a Nation. And we just talked about this last night on my radio show, and we, collaborated to do the introductions, and you're doing the interviews yourself about it. But what did you think about the movie yourself?
I think that Birth of a Nation is a black people homework. It's a must-see. It is a must-see opening week sort of a film. It talks about our condition. It talks about our struggle. It talks about the trials and tribulations of black people. And it adds this fact that we really don't really see in media, which is the fact that black people were fighting and resisting our condition bravely, from the jump. And it talks about how we have been wrestling back our freedom and fighting for our women and our communities and our brothers and our sisters in a very real way for as long as we've been in this state of oppression and this state of captivity here in North America.
What about the film? Are there any moments that impacted you the most?
Oh, many, many, many. I mean, there was the scene by which when, you
Without
know,
giving away, of course.
I'm trying to figure out how to do that exactly. But as a husband, and I'm thinking about these occasions and by which my wife has been violated, where in which my mother has been dealt with in a problematic way, and
Right.
the passing of my grandmother, the other women in my community, and the feeling of helplessness that one must have being raised in an environment where you feel that feeling of helplessness on a regular basis. I can't imagine what that would do to the soul.
Right.
You know, and of course, the crescendo of that is that once the character has had too much, he's had as much as he can possibly take. He switches and he goes back into the protectorate nature of a man, and then he decides to take back all of these wrongs and all of this power that's been taken by those who were responsible for his subjugation, and he goes out into community and reaches out and he frees himself and he frees those around him, and he attempts to free us all. Ultimately, it was unsuccessful, but nevertheless, it is the genesis of that fight, which is so inspirational.
Yeah, and I think it was unsuccessful in what his attempt was, but not in his goal. In that, when you look at historically, when they depict us as through slavery, it's like as if we just took it, we accepted it. But historically, the truth is, a lot of us said we rather give me freedom or give me death. We'd rather be dead than live like this. And the irony of it is that is in the fabric of American literature when it comes to what we stand for, but it doesn't resonate with current America and even back then for black people.
I hope Birth of a Nation starts a trend where we really start talking about the various ways by which blacks were resisting their enslavement, because we quite literally started this fight back in the continent.
Right.
We started this fight on the peripheries of our villages when we were being taken. Then we carried it all the way through the forest to the coast. We took it on the ships. We took it to the market once they had us in the slave castles,
Right.
and we took it all the way to the plantation, and we have it now.
Right.
We're fighting as currently in the streets of major cities all over this country. We're creating organization after organization after organization that continues to demonstrate to the United States that you are failing to hold up to your principles. You're failing to provide to black Americans the sort of values and concepts that are in your founding documents, and we will continue to fight for them until we are given, and better yet, until we take back what was rightfully ours, because there is no being, there is no person who is more American than the African American. This nation owes us everything.
What about the film do you think that people didn't know about Nat Turner would learn from him or find out like, oh, I didn't know that side of him?
I think his mere existence, quite frankly, I think that public school or schooling in general, if your social studies teacher talks about slavery, it's a sprinkle here, it's a sprinkle there, it's some unnuanced, underdeveloped characters here and there during certain periods of the school year. And even unless you study it directly, I'm talking, this goes on through university. Right. So, I think it's very individual sort of a thing. It really depends on somebody's educational level, their desire for and ability to self-study. So I'm not necessarily sure what the individual may not know, but I think that the impact of the film, even for someone who's a scholar on the subject, is significant enough for it to be seen.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for all your help. And we got to keep rolling, man. We got to keep progressing, and we got to keep putting out movies like this, whether it be documentaries or full-fledged epic films, and start telling our truths because, for the last several centuries, it hasn't been told when we leave it up to, racist white America. That's just the flat-out truth about it. And I think this is a part of American history that we all can benefit from. I don't know how many people will think the same or how many people will go and partake in viewing this, but I'm glad I did, and I'm glad that they produced and made the film, so thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
I got my little sister Kaniki here right now. We just seen Birth of a Nation. I already interviewed your husband, so now I got to interview you. All right, but you, honestly, real quick, what did you think about the movie?
I think it's a movie that white people need to see.
Okay, why?
because I think we know our story, but I think a lot of white people have been trying to tell that story, and they don't know it, and only black people can tell the story on the way things really happen.
Do you think it would impact white people if they did see it?
Yes, because they can see themselves through our eyes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's one of those. You ever heard of the book Black Like Me?
Yes.
Okay, so Black Like Me, I read that book, but I read it as an adult.
All right.
I'm from Alabama, as you know, but reading that as a black person, I already knew that story.
Right.
I found out later that a lot of white people had to read that book to understand what happened and how black people felt, to
Okay.
see it through a black person's eyes.
I got you.
You know.
Right.
So yeah, and I think I was thinking about the whole movie Nate and Nat.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, that's Nat. That's Nate. No, that's Nat. And it's just really, I don't know, like, not coincidental, maybe not, that he is the one who decided to tell that story. Maybe he was meant.
I don't believe in coincidences, so I'm with you on that. Well, thank you, sis. That's all I needed from you. All right, I got my brother Munch right here. We just we just come from seeing Birth of a Nation, and I wanted your opinion, bro.
Let's do that over.
What the hell y'all doing?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyway, I got my man Munch right here. We're just seeing Birth of the Nation, and give me your opinion, bro.
I liked the movie. I felt like it started pretty slow. Felt like the beginning was really slow, and I felt like it could have been more dramatic. I felt like the build-up wasn't enough. And I know that if it's, if you're trying to recreate, something that is real life,
It can be tough.
it can be tough because it's like, okay, this is how it was, and but once you put it on the screen, it's almost like you have to massage it to be something that is more dramatic. I mean, but it was a dramatic time, so it's almost like you could have got some more drama out of the film.
Right.
You could have crafted it in such a way that the film could have had more drama in it. I just feel like it didn't really explode. It's like you kind of felt like it needed to kind of explode somewhere. I mean, once they rebelled, you got the sense of it, but there was something about the build up to it that wasn't. It just wasn't impactful enough. So that's.
But so, as far as it being informational or educational, what do you think about that aspect of it?
I think that a film only gives you but so much, and I think you have to take that and then go do more research if you really want to get the full, the full story, because a movie's gonna only tell you but so much.
Right.
It's just like the Miles Davis film. It's like you only caught but so much. You can infer some things from that one day of his life. But in order to really understand Miles, just the same way, in order to really understand Nat Turner,
Right.
you really have to dig a little deeper, and you'll probably find some things that maybe are inconsistent with the movie. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I do feel like it did its job in at least trying to getting you to maybe dig a little deeper into who Nat Turner was.
Right.
Because not everybody. Not every slave back then was rebelling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for him to do that and come from a God-fearing space, for him to turn that around and be like, I can't take this anymore. I got to do something. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty important. I mean, we look at it now, and we may even still now, you don't have a lot of people who are brave enough to do what he did then. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And so you really have to look at it in terms of where we are and ask yourself, are we in that space again where we should be rebelling but we're not?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I got you.
But I think people feel like that, there's a lot more to risk now, and But really, if we're not living, if we're not truly living free, then how are we living? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, bro. That's all I needed. We got everybody.